Hello, hi, myself Dr. Shivaranjani, Academic Coordinator, Department of Graphics and Creative Design. The next topic we are going to discuss is post-production and composition. So this post-production and composition plays a very important role in 3D Max Studio for releasing your 3D animated videos or your images. So this post-production stage plays a major important roles in 3D Max Studio. To create a composites in 3D Max Studio as well a main render, you have to first the main render. I generate the number of standard render elements. Used V-render for rendering work, but I will also explore briefly how to generate the same elements in 3D Max build a mental renders. The first of this is a depth. This is the grayscale image that represents the distance of each point in the scenes from the rendering camera light area, the nearer camera and the darker one for the further away. This information will be crucial to dedicating and depth of field of effects in post-production. So post-production composition. To create the composite in 3D Max Studio, open a render setup dialog by pressing F10 key or clicking on its icon in the main toolbar ringed in the image above. The rendering element tab, click the add button to open the dialog. If your rendering is in V-Ray, select V-Ray Z depth from the list. Rendering setup dialog in 3D Max Studios. Rendering setup dialog in Max. So, and this is image shows how you do so in your mental race. Setting rendering setup dialogs in 3D Max. It is also advisable to use a simple overrides material such as shown in V above rays. Setup dialogs in 3D Max dialog box. You have to choose the common tab and the common open parameter rollout in the output size group set width and height to 500 by 322 pixels. Back in the renders element tab, scroll down to the V-Ray Z depth parameter rollout and begin adjusting the Z depth minimum and Z depth maximum value. The figure that works the best for the scene is 0.0 meters and 3.5 millimeters. In the rollout above, make sure enabling the filtering checks. Rendering setups, if you are using M-Ray, you need Z depth element parameter rollout and Z mini and Z maximum value. Again, you can make sure enable filterings are checked. Rendering setup dialogs in Max. Z depth passes you to generate should look something like this. It's worth noting that by default 3D Max automatically sets the file pathing of rend elements to canonical with the one chosen in the render output groups of common parameters rollout. If you need to change this, go to select LM parameters groups where you check the enable filtering boxes earlier and click the toggle to set up the file path. The next rendering element we'll generate is ambient occlusions, that is AO passes also grayscale image. This time indicates the degree to which the surrounding surface block bounds from the reaching points in the scene. To add the rendering elements in V-Rays, click add button in rendering elements to roll again and choose V-Ray extra text elements from the rendering element object. Once loaded, tweak the default parameters to make it more efficient, more or less visible to the renders. To view, edit the V dirty shaders, simplify drag it toggle from the render element tab and drop it to the material editors. A dialog should appear. Choose an instant copy method, then OK to close the dialog. The real projects with the realistic dimensions. The following values often work very well. Radius is equal to 0.3 millimeters, fall off is equal to 1.0. Field right to different values if you wanted. In some cases, you can also want to check inverted normal settings to generate a shadows and corners of the object pointing outwards. If you are using V-array multi-matted elements, in the same way you can add the previous rendering elements. You could try V-ray white color as I have done in this tutorial, which will use for your object viewport color to generate the ID colors. A rendering setup dialog box in Matter. If you are using your multi-matted element from the rendering element, you can use these options, and you can also mental race is just an object ID or material elements. Rendering setups in Max. You can also use the various elements like V-array ray reflections, V-array raw ray reflections, V-array specular in a mental ray, MR, ARD radiations, reflections and refractions, MR, A and D raw speculars. Set up dialogs for preparing to render. Once the rendering element are set up, it is almost time to render the scene. But before you do so, there is a final few settings to adjust. You also want to generate and save the final map for the mental V radiance map, like speeding up the renders, but we won't look how to do so here. Preparing to render. First set the width and height in the output size. Group to dimension the pixels you wanted to find in the render. The values above are usually sufficient for the print use. Next, increase the sampling rates. Values similar to those shown above if you are using V-arrays. Next, those who are using, if you are using a mental ray, then this is done, the rendering scenes. After the rendering is done, all the elements should be appear in succession and separation from the frame buffers. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you all.